Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the At Odds podcast. We're set for another massive week of sport with the big Joshua and Usyk rematch. Premier League already goes into match day 3, and there's the Ebo Festival at York. Now, Sam Fally and Sam Boswell need no introduction whatsoever. Neither do I, so I think we should just jump straight into it, to be honest. So, Usyk Joshua, the rematch, the first fight. I think it did what a lot of people thought it would, to be honest, because Usyk is a very, 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 very good boxer in comparison to Joshua, who is a good boxer, but Usyk just absolutely bossed him. Farley, as our resident boxing expert, that's what I'll call you this week. What do you reckon's going to happen in this one?
I'm really excited. I went to the last one, loved it, really good night. But the thing that just blew my mind last time was beforehand, we were everyone was thinking like, can Usyk deal with AJ's power, AJ's size? Then when it comes to fight time, he doesn't really use either of those aspects of his ability and focuses on his boxing ability instead, which is still very, very good, despite what a lot of people would say online, but it isn't anywhere near as good as Usyk, who's, you look at a guy who on a technical level is probably one of the best of the last 10 years quite easily. And he tried to go toe to toe with him and outbox him, which was just the most stupid decision. But I think looking at this fight, it's really finely poised. Obviously, AJ's got a new coach now with Robert Garcia came in for Rob McCracken. I think he looked at loads of different coaches. He was the guy he chose, and I think there must be something in that. It's going to be something new, something hopefully a bit different. There's been a lot of talk as well with Usyk about his added weight. I think it's like 15 kilograms extra, they think. Will 15 kg impact his footwork?
Yeah. Potentially, yeah.
I saw Carl Froch doesn't think it would, and obviously he knows a lot more about boxing than me, but I also don't believe that. Like, at some level, it will make a difference. So, for me, I think Usyk there is just these question marks. The added weight, because AJ surely now has to go in and just focus on power, on trying to knock him out. Usyk's put on this added weight to, I think, deal with that and hopefully lay the knockout blow himself. So there's the question mark. One, can Usyk kind of deal with having this extra bit of weight? And we'll see when it comes to the weigh-ins just how much that is compared to his usual fighting weight. And then there's the sort of elephant in the room, the whole sort of conflict in Ukraine. And obviously he was, on the front lines for part of this.
Yeah.
What has that done to him kind of mentally? I know he's talking about how this fight is for Ukraine, and as part of the contract stipulations, one of them was that it had to be free to air in Ukraine. So everyone at home is going to be watching it. That's a lot of extra pressure, I think. And it's we see what a warrior he is. But this does concern me. And I think it just adds further question marks to what is already, I don't think it's a 50-50 fight, but it's a fight that's kind of trending that way, I'd say.
Sam, I'm going to jump in here because I'm not a boxing. I buy the odd pay-per-view. I watch the big fights. I'll be watching this on Saturday with some mates, and I'm really excited about the fight itself. But you speak about the expectation on Usyk. Obviously, he's fighting for a nation, and it is pretty remarkable. You go back to looking at the Ukrainian football team; they had a huge amount of weight of expectation on them, and just fell short, didn't they? Getting beat by Wales. I kind of flip this round. Usyk's beaten AJ before. In a way, is the Ukraine stuff a bit of a distraction? Possibly. Would he have entered camp and entered a fight date for this without being fully ready to commit to that? I don't think so. I think it'd be fine. Let's flip it round. Surely the real pressure is AJ. Because if he gets beat here, what happens next? Where does he go? His career, for me, as someone that's a very casual boxing fan that expected him to go on to be a world great because of what he did in his early years, and I probably am guilty of buying into Eddie Hearn's hype. If he gets beat, I'm not buying another one of his pay-per-views, am I?
I think if he gets beaten now, he should probably retire. If not, I think we'd all love to see the Fury fight. That's what we want to see. But realistically, does Fury take that on if he gets beaten here? I don't know if he does. And I still think AJ would potentially be a threat to Fury. But in terms of, I'd say the pressure's off for AJ, because I think it's the weirdest thing has happened with AJ, that when he came through, the hype machine was just absolutely outrageous. But it's got to the point now where I think people disrespect him and make out like he's some sort of Derek Chisora. He is still an elite boxer.
Yeah.
It's still a top 3 heavyweight in the world. Like, I'd say, well, without doubt, it's only Fury and Usyk who are really kind of matching him or better than him. And I think the pressure's fairly off for AJ, to be honest.
That's weird. I completely see that differently, but I do respect your view on it, and you'd certainly be a more learned scholar of boxing than me.
Nah, I understand where both of you are coming from there, to be honest. Now, what I will say before we go into our bets for the fight is that a lot of bookies will be having boosts, specials, everything for this one. So make sure you do shop around and see if there are any boosts on a specific outcome that you think is going to happen, because I know that they boost knockouts. There's even requester bets and bet builders and everything that you can have in this. So who wants to go first? Which one of you two would like to go first and tell us what you think is going to happen?
Well, Farley's much more educated view, so let's give him more time and get mine out of the way. Do you know what? The more I talk about this fight, the more I see a third fight being probably on the cards. If AJ was obviously to win, I'm sure there's a rematch clause. Eddie Hearn would love it. I'm sure it would work well. The draw, for me, it's a bit like rugby games. I love playing the draw in these kind of events, and it's something you can look to trade in running as well, potentially, if you get a half-decent price. And if it looks like it's a close fight after 3 rounds, you're in with a shot. I've got to say, the prices are a little stinky on the draw out there. Some people are as short as 15 to 1.
Wow.
Quite why you can't afford to go 16 to 1, I don't know. I think best price out there I can see with multiple bookies is 20s. I think if you can get a bit bigger on the draw, for someone like me that's going to watch the fight, they don't happen too often, but naturally, I think a draw, if you offered AJ a draw, I think he'd take it. And I think if you offered Usyk a draw, I think he'd take it. And Eddie Hearn would be delighted. So I'm going to have a very uneducated dart at the draw. It's small stakes for me. I'll be backing whatever you two are on because you actually watch the sport. But sometimes I like a big price runner in these kind of events. And, I think that's where my penny's going to land.
Okay.
Do you know what?
Farley.
I don't, to be honest, I don't hate that. And I do think the trilogy fights are something, I think it's been such a part of boxing history from, all the greats pretty much have had sort of famous trilogies. And you could see like a Joshua Usyk trilogy going down that route if it were to happen. But for me, there's two bets I like. One's kind of a variation of the other. So I'll start with the most simple one, and that is the fight to not go the distance at 10 to 13. So a little under even money. But I think ultimately AJ, he has to switch up the style and go for something more kind of in tune with his skill set, go for the knockout. And with Usyk, he almost had AJ twice in the last fight. I think in that 12th round, he got him right near the end. If it had been another minute, I think he puts AJ out of there. Plus the added muscle mass, I do think that there's a real chance we see a knockout here. And I really like that. And kind of as an extension of that, I've also honed in on rounds 4 to 6 at 9 to 2 as probably the area in terms of round betting I'd go for, purely because AJ is going to have to come out the traps here. I think he has to treat this like a 6-round fight and just blow him away. So I think we're going to see AJ start fast. Usyk, that's going to leave Usyk with the opportunity to use his footwork, get in and out, and maybe put AJ down. And you will notice I've not actually picked somebody to win there. I've just focused on the actual time itself, because I think Usyk wins, but there is a little part of me I can't rule AJ out. But I mean, there's so many ways to look at this fight, because I've seen so much talk about knockouts now that part of me thinks so often with fights, when you expect a KO, it doesn't happen. And part of me thinks, like, we've seen Usyk in his past. This is a guy who is a master of just winning on a UD if he has to, and just taking it the length and just using his skill set. So if AJ comes on strong, does he just revert to type, play it safe, just do the right things and just secure the win that way? That's the more I think about it, the more that becomes possible to me. But I am going to stick with the fact we'll just see a KO and an early one.
Right. Okay. I'm gonna not sit on the fence like you, Varley, and I'm gonna go for Usyk to win by KO, because I just feel that, as you've touched upon with the whole Ukraine situation, I think that Usyk's gonna actually feed off that, and it's gonna just prove him well going into the fight. And at the end of the day, that last fight was just a masterclass by Usyk, and I really feel that he's going to push on this time. I think we saw in the Ruiz fight where a boxer came in severely undertrained for the rematch, and Ruiz was just there for the payday, really. I don't think Usyk's going to do that. I don't think Usyk will be there for the payday again. Right. I think he's just going to absolutely boss him, and I think you'll get odds around 2-1 at the minute. You'll see Booster around 4-1, 5-1 on fight day, I reckon, for a Usyk knockout.
I must say, you got to think as well, we're based in the UK here. UK books are going to have a very lopsided view when you think about the fact that AJ's the home guy. He'll be a worse. I know he's already a worse loser in our book at work. So I suspect that trend may well mean that you'll see some bigger prices about the opponent.
Yeah, I agree. So that wraps it up perfectly, I think, Farley.
Well, should we move on now to the Premier League? And there is a lovely little slate of games on Saturday. 6 matches. I'll quickly run you through them all. Tottenham versus Wolves, if you want to bet on the early kickoff, which I would always advise, don't do that. Everton, Forest, Leicester City versus Southampton, Fulham, Brentford, Crystal Palace, Villa, and then the late game on Saturday is Bournemouth, Arsenal. So quite an interesting little slate there. But we're just going to go through our best bets. And I think, first of all, I've got to go to Boz here. Is this going to involve the Crystal Palace game? No.
I'm still not over Crystal Palace sinking my treble I put up last week in the one banker, one draw, one bust. But we'll talk about that later on in the show. My best bets for Saturday, quite simple actually. This one, I'm going to repeat a winner I had last week. James Maddison to score or assist. He did the job against Arsenal at 5-2, which, if you were on, happy days. Transfer speculation around him seems to have settled down. Didn't seem to hamper him that much anyway. And Leicester host a Southampton side that, I'll be honest, they're going to ship goals this year. Spurs managed to put 4 past them. Obviously, they conceded 2 in a good. I must say, credit to them for coming back the other day, Southampton. But I'm slightly worried Leicester are going to have to focus on attacking even more if Wesley Fofana decides to leave them. Maddison is evens for a goal or an assist. For a man that takes set plays and for a man that will shoot from distance against the Southampton side that will give up plenty of possession in and around the box, even money for me. It's a very, very boring, bit of a no-brainer, 90-minute bet. Hopefully he plays the full game. And Jake, I think you're on a similar thread to me because you think Leicester are going to do well.
Yeah, I do. I think we've come a long way in this podcast because the first 2 weeks we were like, Leicester are rubbish, they're going down. But yeah, I've got Leicester to win and both teams to score at 12-5 for Saturday as my best bet. And I just think that, as you've mentioned, Southampton shit goals, Leicester score goals. Leicester, I think, do concede quite a few. I think they are going to miss Kasper Schmeichel more and more as each week goes on. But I just think Leicester win both teams to score is a great bet for Saturday, to be honest.
I like that. I think Hasselhutten's got them at least trying to, they managed to find 2 goals, didn't they, against Leeds, which, it's interesting. There was that rumbling, wasn't there, that they're unhappy with him and his price shortened significantly for manager to go. But I actually think I don't think he'll be the first to go. I think he'll be all right.
I think Hasenhüttl is a good manager. There's definitely something there for me. But look, I'm going to give you a bet now. We've had Boz's stinky evens bet. We've had Jake come in with a quite a little tasty 12-5. I'm going to really get the old dice out, and I'm going to give you a 9-2 bet. And this is the sort of bet that I'm going to deny I ever made if it goes badly. But my one here is I've kind of followed Boz's sort of recent trend for this shot on assist market that he's sort of forced upon us all, really.
I love the score and assist. It's a great market.
Sorry, score and assist, isn't it? I've got to say this. I think for a player like the one I'm going to mention, it really leaps out. And look, we've got some cracking games on Saturday, but I'm going to focus on Everton versus Forest, a game that nobody is going to be watching on their IPTVs, except for die-hard supporters, I don't think. But I'm going to focus on the young Forest fullback, formerly of Liverpool, Nico Williams, to score or assist at 9-2. He had a fantastic game against West Ham. I'm just going to give you some numbers that kind of go through that. This is purely the kind of offensive side of things. He had 74 touches. He had 9 attempted crosses, best on the field, 4 shots, best on the field. Like, that is ridiculous. And I think at 9-2, this probably is a slightly better bet than those odds would suggest. Because if he plays quite as offensively as he did in that last game, there's going to be plenty of opportunities here. And I don't think Everton are particularly great defensively. So I'm more than happy to take a punt on somebody scoring or assisting against them.
Okay. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, fair play. You've shot for the stars, I'd say, in comparison to our prices. But listen, I gave you a 5-2 winner last week, Farley. I can't give big price winners out every week when it comes to the best bets for Saturday and Sunday. But let's move on to the Sunday games. Obviously, got them live on Sky. Got a couple of interesting ones. I'll do my bet last because, Farley, you've actually nicked the bet that I wanted. So I'm going to let you go first because I think this is a proper good 90-minute bet.
Yeah, so what was it? We've got 3 games on Sunday, haven't we? A couple of good ones, as you mentioned: Leeds, Chelsea, Newcastle, Man City. I think that's where the neutrals are going to be watching. But for you and I, Boz, it was West Ham versus Brighton as the one we pulled out here. And the bet absolutely has to be under 2.5 here in terms of goals, because you look at this Brighton team and they are really, really good. But I would say their 2 goals against Man United were kind of as a result of Man United being pretty inept defensively, as opposed to them necessarily being that great going forward. I could see them scoring a goal here. Likewise, West Ham have been not really at the level we probably would have thought so far this season, although things have been fairly tough for them in terms of opposition, playing the likes of Man City. But this game, to me, these are 2 teams that, for West Ham, they need to get something out of this, I'd say now. They need to kind of keep things tight, nick a goal, whatever. They can't lose. For Brighton, I think it's a tricky game on the road. They just need to not lose as well. So for me, this strikes me as a 0-0 or 1-1. I can't see goals here. I really, really can't. And under 2.5 at just under evens, what was it, 10-11? I think it's absolute value.
Yeah, you've basically just taken my idea and eloquently explained it in a far superior manner to myself. So I will be joining you on that bet when I have a cheeky treble on Saturday. Jake, I wonder if you're going to tempt me with something that you think I should be backing. I think you're about 17-10, your price for your bet here.
Yeah, I am. So my bet is for the Newcastle Man City game, and I'll start this off by saying I've long been an Ilkay Gundogan hater, but
what?
Yeah, he annoys me, he frustrates me. Very
must be awful having such a talented player to that can play in multiple positions, Jake. Good Lord. Anyway, I'll shut up and let you make your point.
Last game of the season, last year, obviously Gundogan comes as a sub when we're 2-0 down to Villa. The amount of texts I send, what's Pep doing? Why is he bringing him on? And obviously, he wins us the league, shuts me up. Now, this year, he's just been made club captain this week. So I think in terms of Pep roulette, that means that we're going to see Gundogan starting and be one of our key players, I think, this year. And I think for him to get a goal or assist at 17-10, it is value. Now, we discussed before the recording Erling Haaland and the fact that he only had 8 touches last week. And one of the main reasons for that is because a lot of the defensive players are just pulled towards Haaland and all just run at him, and that leaves space for Gundogan, De Bruyne, players like that in and around the area. Now Gundogan, he will get a chance. He'll get a chance to, and the short passes that he makes to Foden and Haaland and players like that. I just think a goal or assist for him at 17-10 is value in a day where there's not a lot of value going. To be honest, obviously you've got City at 1-3, Chelsea 1-2. There's just not a lot of value there, and I think that's a good bet.
Okay, guys, if I had to pick your brains then as we come to my bet, which Sunday game is going to have most goals in it? Because I think there's a real obvious contender here. Farley?
Probably go the Man City game.
What? Jake?
I'll go Leeds Chelsea, mate.
There we go. Someone's got the right answer. Perfect.
I can see where you were leading us, but I didn't want to. Let
Yeah,
you
you didn't make it too obvious. That's fine. That's fine. You stitched me up. Right. This game, I'm really interested in this game. I will be having multiple bet builders on this game. I haven't come down definitively on a bet builders put up here because that would be a bit silly. But I really think this is the kind of game you can quite conceivably see this ending up 4-2 to Chelsea. Loads of cards, plenty of corners. So I'll be playing everything left, right, and centre. And as long as the team news is right, I think Raheem Sterling at nearly even money for a goal or assist is a massive price, 10 to 11. He's going to be in pretty much everything. But a bigger price, because I can see Sam Farley rolling his eyes there at me. The best fullback that goes forward for me these days, I think Reece James is getting ahead of Trent with the ball at his feet going forward now. I really like Reece James. Sorry?
We're going to have the Twitter mob kicking off with us now, if you said
That's
that.
fine. That's fine. It's not the first time Liverpool fans have come for me. I really think Reece James is Mr. Dependable at Chelsea. And at 9-5 to get a goal or assist, I think I'd go for the assist more than the goal, but I do think he'll have plenty of opportunities. You know, he seems to have that ability to pop up anywhere. And I'll put him up at a bigger price. I'll be playing Sterling as well. But I just think there'll be goals here. This will probably be my over. Might go for over 3.5 here as well.
I think there'll be goals too. Yeah, definitely. Because I looked at that game and I saw Rodrigo's 9-2 to score. And he's the top scorer in the league.
I don't think Chelsea have got a foolproof defence either. They had their shaky moments against Everton. Got battered, obviously, in pre-season. I know it's pre-season by Arsenal. Just wonder with Chelsea this year. They're obviously, the strategy seems a bit bizarre there. We won't go off too much of a tangent, but in the last week, they've been linked significantly with the likes of Wilfried Zaha, Anthony Gordon of Everton, which I think he's a good young player, but he's not ready to go to a Chelsea yet for 45 million. Bizarre idea of a transfer to me. I don't know what's going on at Stamford Bridge. I'm very curious to see how it pans out. I don't think they're going to have a watertight defence for a little while yet. They're going to need time to bed in with the changes. But yeah, so I'll put Reece James up though to lead from the back at 9-5 score or assist. And that probably nicely takes us round to introducing the biggest game of the weekend, Jake.
Yes. So Monday Night Football is Manchester United against Liverpool. There's not really a massive introduction I can give to this game. I'm obviously going to call it a relegation battle as a City fan, but it's just going to be massive, massive, massive game. Farley, what do you think is going to happen in this one?
Look, we touched upon this. We touched upon this kind of when we were chatting, getting ready for the show today, and there's no way you can look at this, what's gone on, and not think Liverpool absolutely hose Man United. But the word of caution, I'd say, is this is the sort of weird game where United will skank a 1-0 win. But to me, it feels like it's either United skank a 1-0 win or they lose 4-0, 5-0, and it's another absolute crisis at the club. But like I also said, I actually think this game won't happen. I think there's going to be enough protest that it'll end up not happening. So this is one I would definitely put your bet on 10 minutes before the game. Don't be lumping it beforehand and have to sweat it out. But for me, I expect Liverpool to start strong. They've been pretty poor in starting games recently, as the commentator on Monday night just couldn't stop saying in the Palace game. But I think ultimately they will probably have to start strong because Klopp will be more. If the commentary team are aware of it, Klopp will be aware of it. He will get into them. He'll tell them they have to start strong, and they are against a team who are an absolute shambles. I mean, they seem to be chasing 5 different players every day that bear no similarity to one another. It's an absolute mess there, and I think the mess is only going to get worse on Monday night. So my bet would be, and I think this is bloody good value, Liverpool to be winning at halftime and Liverpool to be winning at full time at 6-4, which I think should be closer to evens, to be honest. I think that's superb value.
Yeah, I like that a lot. 6-4 is a good price for that bet, definitely. Boz, what are you thinking for this one?
Wanted to take Liverpool on, looked at it a bit more. That United price, what is it, 11-2, 6-1?
Yeah.
I would genuinely need that price to get. You're looking at a man, by the way, that backed Crystal Palace to beat Liverpool and played all the handicaps the other night, despite what I thought on the show, because I do think Liverpool, the more I think about it, I do have a little bit of a worry for Liverpool. Their midfield against us looked pretty sort of paceless, and that's where United, if they're going to get a result, are going to get in. But let's be honest, Man United's ability to defend at the moment is gone. There's rumblings that Maguire won't start. I don't read too much into who's going to play and who's not. But let's be frank. Does it really matter if Maguire gets dropped? Is that going to improve their defence significantly? I get it. He's looks like an absolute donkey at United. But I don't think suddenly dropping him and trying to put somebody else in the team in the third game of the season after they've not been playing is going to do a lot to help United's confidence. You know, the communication between the back line and David De Gea isn't there. I really think this is going to be a Mo Salah game. With Mane gone, Salah is a brilliant player. There is no doubting that. To my mind, he hasn't quite reached that prime Messi, prime Ronaldo moment where every game he wins it. Yeah. I think this is his season to do that with Mane no longer there and some slightly younger legs around him and a new look Liverpool. He's got to carry that mantle. And if I'm going to back him, I've got to go hard and really think that he's going to deliver. Now, I'm not going to look at an individual Salah bet just because I think he can be unselfish at times, pass it around. I will be backing the following. Liverpool to win. Boring. -1, 13-8. -2, 4-1. I might even go to -3, 11-1. Probably definitely will just have a small bet on that. -2, -1 are going to be my big bets. I'll put up -1 at 13-8 for the purpose of this to keep it realistic. I did look at cards as well really quickly. I do find cards, I'm finding it a struggle this year. I've managed so far from personal betting to have one decent win on cards in play. It's not quite as consistent as it should be with referees. I really think Ten Hag will send his team out there. Bear in mind what's happened, right? Liverpool obviously had a stupid sending off last week. Shouldn't have happened on Monday, I should say. So I do think there's going to be a lot of, like, Klopp's going to be like, look, lads, we can't afford that again. Don't do it collectively. There's a bit more awareness. Ten Hag's going to probably need to get the crowd on his side, which, by the way, are all due to walk out at some point, as I believe. You know, realistically, what's going to lift the crowd? If Harry Maguire plays, him absolutely smashing through, for me, someone like that, really letting them know they're there. I would possibly, the red card market's usually far too short in this game because it's Man United versus Liverpool. I would be interested to see that. I need to have a look at the ref in a bit more detail before going that. So apologies, I've not had the chance to do that. But yeah, for my money, Liverpool -1, 13-8. I think Sam's right, but I think his hopes of Man United getting a stinky 1-0, forget that. This is going to be Ten Hag's bottom, like the rock bottom is coming for United, and this is it. And they need to hurry up and very quickly. I'll finish this off. If they don't want Ronaldo, just release the guy. I think that's nuts. But this whole Man United is the biggest soap opera going now. You remember how we used to laugh at Arsenal Fan TV and some of the carry on at Arsenal, and you watch back the stuff on Amazon at the moment, and you go, "Oh God, I can't believe they did that to Alba and all this." That makes Man United look like a circus in comparison. They are. This is a club as well. Let's not forget. This manager knew there were problems, and he's turned up, and somehow, whatever reason, they've not done their business early enough. They haven't bedded these players in, And this will only serve to further humiliate them. And I, for one, can't wait to see it. I'm no Liverpool fan, but bring it on. Liverpool -1, 13-8. I'll be astounded if that doesn't come in.
It's going to be interesting to see how Klopp sets Liverpool up, because I think we've seen, well, Thomas Frank alluded to this about Brighton basically targeting Lisandro Martinez's, well, let's put it politely, his sort of lack of height. And with the little left back they have as well, who is minuscule, that leaves them so open to balls in the air. It leaves them so weak at set pieces. Out of all the business that's been done or not done at United, one of the things I do find really mystifying is this choice to bring in really small defenders, and apparently they're after Sergio Dest from Barcelona as well for the right back position, who again is tiny.
Small, yeah.
Like I think you have to play Maguire, because I think you need to have someone who's good in the air there alongside Martinez. So I just think it's such a bizarre. A lot of the problems with United, I think you can't blame Ten Hag for, but those decisions when they're bringing in a player from Ajax and another player from the Dutch league, that is entirely on him, and there have to be question marks there for me. But look, guys,
I agree.
We're going to go on to a regular feature on the show.
Hold on. Did we get your bet?
You didn't get my bet. My bet's just changed too, by the way. I've gone for Alisson to get
on our Google sheet. I was like, have I missed this? Is Jake trying to hoodwink us? And you're going for a tasty price at 8-1.
Yeah. So I did have Trent to score or assist, but I feel like I've used that market too much already this weekend, and we've discussed that market a lot. I've gone for Alisson card at 8-1 because the whole Premier League multi-ball system has made me think that there is going to be a lot of goalkeepers throughout the season who are going to get carded. Now, 8-1 is a massive price. In play, it'll probably go down to about 3-1, 4-1 if Liverpool have like a goal lead in the second half. And I feel like it might get to a point, if it is just a constant barrage of United attacks, that Alisson will waste time. So 8-1's a big price. That's what I'm going to back for this one. Farley, there you go. There you go, Farley.
The only thing I'd say before Farley takes us away, Jake, you're dependent on that being a close game. And in accordance with my view, it won't be. But interesting to see Palace managed to get Vincent Gaeta got booked. I'm not after time. Well, I am after time because I backed it. But yeah, I think I like the 1-0 down underdogs away from home angle on keeper cards, because at least if they concede another one and they're going to fight for the point, you've got another chance, and they are supposed to be clamping down on it. Be interesting to see if they do. Sorry, Sam, on you go.
No, I like that. I love that. I love a nice meaty 8-1 as well. So look, regular feature now is bankers, bust and draw. I think you probably know the draw if you've listened before. Each of us picks a banker, a bust, and a draw. It's pretty easy. Boz, seeing as I can't see what you've picked for this, let's get going, shall we?
Yeah, apparently I've clearly not done my homework, have I? Apologies. I need to update that. But I'm keeping you on your toes, so I don't want you to nick it. I was very close last week to getting all three. Only Liverpool at 2-7 let me down. But hey, as a Palace fan, I suppose I can forgive that. Took United on last week. Can't do that because unfortunately they are a very very big price on Monday. So we can't do that. Team I want to take on this week, really tricky to find a sort of out-and-out one. I was desperate to take on. But I'm going to take on Everton at home at even money. I think Forest will get a point at least out of this game. I don't think Everton are very good. I find it mystifying that Dele Alli is about to head off to Turkey. I don't like the game against Palace he had. He was very impressive for them. I don't know why Frank can't get the best out of him. Everton, to me, still look like a side devoid of real ability. I don't see them scoring tons of goals. Anthony Gordon, at time of recording, is being linked with a move away. I'm not sure he's going to start for them this weekend because of that. And if he does, where's his head at? If Chelsea come knocking for you and you're in a fairly moderate Everton side, I don't care how big a fan you are, you're going to be thinking about going. So Everton will be my buster. My banker, I'm doing this in the wrong order, aren't I? I've just realised. But my banker, this is tricky because I'm leaning towards probably Arsenal or Bournemouth. I know Bournemouth got the win over Villa, which scuppered me on the first day of the season, but Arsenal are a very good side. I I think I'm going to put them as my banker away from home. I don't care. They'll score. Bournemouth might get one. Arsenal will score two. And then draw. Managed to get this up last week, didn't I? So I need to try this again. Probably going to go West Ham Brighton. Stinky game. Agree with Sam on the under. So 5-2. I'll put the draw up.
Nice.
I like it. Jake, what do you got for us?
Well, last week, 3 out of 3, full house. That's all I'm going to say. So this week, I've gone ballsy this week.
Well done,
so
Jake. Well done.
banker, Spurs, early kickoff. I know we say don't back the early kickoff. I just think at home to Wolves, they're going to win easily. Now, my bust this week is Arsenal.
What?
You two are both having them as your banker.
Head's gone.
Now, I just feel there's something about this game. Saturday night football, 5:30. Bournemouth at home. They're going to be up for it. I don't know. Am I just underestimating Arsenal? Are we overhyping Arsenal?
No, you've got Arsenal wrong, Jake. 100%. They
do
signed
like
your best
Arsenal,
two
but-
players last year. That's why you're upset with Arsenal.
I think we might be overhyping them a bit, but even with overhyping, Bournemouth are still Bournemouth.
Yeah, maybe. Next week, when Arsenal have dropped points, I'll just be there saying I told you so. So
Well,
keep that
look,
in
we've
mind.
seen it, haven't we? But not for me. I think
My
you're
draw
completely-
is Sunday. My draw is Sunday, Leeds Chelsea. I've gone for another one that's a bit. Yeah. But I feel that Ellen Road, the fans are going to be massively up for this one. They're going to be all over Chelsea, and I feel that this Chelsea team, when fans are on the back, and it can be a bit of a struggle for them. And I feel that around 3-1 for the draw, it's not a massive price, but I feel like there's a massive chance that it could happen, to be honest. I just don't like the look of Chelsea at 1-2. They were nearly going to be my bust, but a draw in that game is what I'm fancying. Farley.
I like that. Look, I've gone pretty similar to Boz here. I've got Arsenal as my banker. I just think Bournemouth, watching them against Man City, I didn't see anything there that makes me think Arsenal aren't going to make light work of them. I've got West Ham Brighton as my draw. I think, like I mentioned earlier, that's a 0-0. It's a 1-1, written all over it. But my bust is Leicester City, who are odds on to beat Southampton. Now, I think Southampton aren't very good, but I'm still a bit wary of tackling Leicester at a price that is shorter than evens. I'm not convinced they're that good either. They should win, but am I taking them on? No way. So that has to be the bust for me.
Okay. I'm not sure about that. I'm not. Maybe I'm just getting on a Leicester hype train all of a sudden. After the talk of getting them relegated in the first 2 weeks, maybe I'm just feeling a bit sorry for them now.
Right.
I like it though.
Interesting. Let's see how many we get right this week. If Arsenal Bournemouth's a draw, we're all going to look pretty silly, but there we go. Well, Jake won't
Not
be.
me.
We're going to move on to the EFL, which last week, if you were watching, we got the lot. All three of us with correct predictions. I think it was about 10-1, the acca. So happy days. Was very, very delighted. So let's kick off this week. I'll go last because Jake, you're doing what I hate people doing, and you're putting the Friday night game in this.
Yeah, I am. Again, similar to the Premier League, really tried to look for some sort of value for money. I just feel like Norwich against Millwall in the Friday night game, Norwich to win at home, 10-11. I think it's a price that's a good price, to be honest. I think it's only that price because Norwich have been, the last few weeks, the start of the season hasn't been the greatest, but they got a win midweek against Huddersfield. Huddersfield put a lot of pressure on them and they still managed to get the win, just about 2-1. So I feel that they're going to take that into this game and get the win over Millwall, to be honest. Now, looking at their actual stats over the season so far, it's just attack after attack after attack. Now, they've had 68 shots so far in their opening 4 games. 6% conversion rate's not the best, but I feel that it's just only a matter of time before Timu Pukki starts firing them in for him, to be honest.
No, No, I kind of like it. And yeah, just Friday night game always gives me
I
the
know what you
jitter.
mean. Yeah.
Always
Friday
gives
night
me
is
the
a bit
jitters.
stinky, yeah. True.
Farley, good job yours won last week. So I think you were going to be in your pants or something if it didn't, and you upset Cheltenham Town fans, I seem to recall. Was that correct?
Yes, yeah, but it wasn't going to lose because Cheltenham are rubbish at the moment. And to be honest, Cheltenham very nearly found their way into this because I think they're playing. Well, they are playing Exeter City away, and I think they're going to get battered. But as a Plymouth Argyle fan, I couldn't bring myself to suggest betting on Exeter City, who are, if you're not aware, listeners or viewers, the most tin pot pathetic team in the entire football league. But that's not my opinion. That is a straight up fact. But instead, I'm going to give you. There's nothing. Actually, I think there's quite a lot of value this week, but there's nothing at over evens. I was thinking is an absolute must bet. So instead, I put two kind of shorter price favourites into a tasty little 2.15 doubled. So just over 2-1 here. Peterborough and Portsmouth. So Peterborough, admittedly, they did lose to the fantastic Plymouth Argyle at the weekend, but this is a really, really good team. And they're at home to Lincoln. Lincoln have been fairly kind of middle of the road this year, but Peterborough, they played us twice last week, beat us in the cup, lost to us in the league, but they were really, really good in the cup. And to be honest, although we did get the win at the weekend, they were very good again. And I think this is a really good team. I think they probably should go up this year. 4-5, really good price. Portsmouth are 3-4 at home to Bristol Rovers. Rovers are a really tough team to work out. You don't really know what you're going to get. Portsmouth, they are starting to build something there, starting to get something together. I think it's 3 wins on the bounce in the league, including that one over Cheltenham last week, actually. But these two, and also, now they've now kind of sorted out their ground a bit. That place is going to be rocking on Saturday. So for me, Peterborough 4-5, Portsmouth 3-4, whack them in a double. You're getting just over 2.1-1. Absolute, no-brainer.
Well, I'm going to provide some value now because I don't know. I think we need to beef up this treble a little bit. And I've been having a little look. The Championship's about the only league I've really got a bit of a grasp on. And people might think I'm a bit mad, but Hull have had a really good start to the season so far. They obviously kept a clean sheet on the opening day. Then obviously EFL Cup, not worried about that. Getting the better of Norwich, who Jake seems to think are going to win this week and will turn a corner. And yesterday got a point against Burnley, who, although they've had a lot of departures, do think have got a decent side there. Now, they go and travel to West Brom, who are in action as I'm recording this. And I always think there's little angles to be found in the Championship. And I seem to remember, as Ian Dowie was Crystal Palace manager, he preached the elements of fitness and recovery so hard. And he said they were really important. Start, middle, and end of the season, all the way through. He said, because at the start, it's whoever gets out the blocks quicker. He took over at Palace when we were bottom at Christmas. He was like, we've got to turn it around. I think Hull, they've got the extra day recovery. I think they've been playing really well in terms of overachieving in what the market expects of them. And they're 6-4 plus a goal against West Brom. I mean, I can conceivably see West Brom getting a point. I don't think they're way too short for me. I never want to back a team that short in the Championship at home when they aren't flying top of the league. As it stands at the moment, I haven't got the Cardiff result in front of me to have a look at from West Brom because it's in play. But I thought Hull plus a goal. If you get to half-time 0-0, you're probably going to be there or thereabouts. And if they can score the first goal, I'd be more than confident that 6-4 is a mad price. I'm not brave enough to put them up at like 9-2, 4-1 to win the game. But I think plus a goal, 6-4, I'm happily at least getting into the second half with that bet.
I like that a lot. I like it a lot. Again, like you say, it's trying to find value in the EFL is very hard when you're not an expert at the EFL. So, yeah, it's an interesting bet. What we'll do is now, though, we'll fly over to sunny Spain for a little trip. Oh yes. So we usually do like a little foreign football segment. We have a look at all different leagues, but Spain is where we're tipping this week. Boz, do you fancy anything this week?
I'll keep it brief. I'll be backing PSG away from home at like 9-20 in all my bets because they'll do the business. Team they're playing dropped points last week. did score 4 the week before that. But I know there's rumblings of an unhappy camp at PSG, but they're still world-class players on the pitch.
Yeah.
I've got no major concerns. So that's the extent of my foreign ventures. I'm very Brexit at the moment when it comes to foreign football. I need a little bit more form to go on. So yeah, I'll just be chucking PSG in. I might go minus a goal if I'm feeling exotic, but I thought they're just a boring banker bet. You know, I know people like to tie their money up in them to win the league. I don't know why you don't just back them every week to win.
Exactly.
Boz, I've got to say, fair play to you for taking our Spanish theme and then taking it to Paris. Fair play to you. Fair play to you.
I love that so much.
I'm picking up the garlic snails and putting down the chorizo. But I'll let you two indulge in your span. Because Jake, let's point this out. Last week, did you not say you would not touch Barcelona with a barge pole? I said, why don't you look at laying them on the exchanges? They were 1-6. So anyone that followed, fair play because you were spot on.
Yeah, I think I'm just looking at. We have a little document where we put our tips up before the week, and I'm seeing what Farley's back in, and it's concerning me a little bit after what happened last week. I'm just going to quickly say my pick for this week's Morata to score for Atletico Madrid against Villarreal. He scored a brace last week for Atletico, and I think Morata is one of them form players who just he'll score goals. And I think for Atletico Madrid side, he will score goals. Farley, I'm going to come to you because it's intriguing me what you're picking here, to be honest. Yeah,
so you went against Barcelona last week, and if you follow me on Twitter at Farley Writes, you'll see I in an article I wrote for a US publication, I picked the draw at 6-1 in that game, which obviously landed. And I think we were kind of basically on the same path there, that this was a team that was in a bit of a difficult situation. Obviously, they had the issues with registering players. We didn't know, I think, until Friday that it was we were definitely going to see like Lewandowski and Kessie and these guys. But they played, they drew, didn't play particularly well. But that brings us to this week. And I'm actually backing Barcelona to win at Sociedad at 8-7. So just a tad over evens. It'll be evens with most bookies. And I've kind of gone the other way here. I think they've had this extra week now where they know who's playing. So they're not going to be in training in the build-up kind of umming and ahhing, like trying to do different things with different groups because they know there's a slight off chance that maybe they wouldn't be able to play Lewandowski or play whoever. They know the lineup. They know who's going to be available for selection. I still think there are question marks there. And I think the players, all this talk about the likes of Frankie de Jong and this deferred money and their fans are arguably the worst on the planet right now. Absolute bunch of goons. But Barcelona at 8-7, I think it just looks like quite good value. I think it's another week's more preparation, another week's more training, another week's more acclimatization for these new signings. And look, Barcelona over evens, I will consider taking that most of the time when it's against a team like Sociedad, who are good but not spectacular. I think it's a must play.
Nice. You've kind of twisted my arm there a little bit. I debate to put them in an acca on Sunday because it boosts the value up of the acca. So it's something I'll definitely look into. Now, what we'll do is we'll switch over to racing now. And me and Farley this week, our standard subjects, there's nothing on for either of us to tip really, and we don't really want to force anything. Now, our racing and Twitter question is about racing too, so we should really put that together, I think. So, Boz, tell us what you're backing this week for the Ebor Festival at York, first of all.
Ebor Festival, well, let's just reflect on last week. I mentioned Bailly for the Arc. I did warn you, connections are going to give it there. We're not going to the Arc, and they still are. But we've sat on a ticket at 33s. I think he's 5-4 non-runner, no bet now for the Arc. I still think it's incredibly unlikely, but I'm really happy we're on at 33-1 because if out of nowhere there's a change of mind, we got the value. And that's how anti-post betting works. And I'm going to go to Ashraf's question from Twitter because I do think he kind of asked, have you got anything anti-post this week? And I haven't, and I'll explain why. To me, anti-post betting is really hard. You've got to find a value edge, and I predominantly follow jumps racing more than the flat. But on the jumps now, it's incredibly hard to get value because people like ourselves sit here and we find things and we go, Willie Mullins has found this horse from France. It's been named this. Bookmakers are so scared of him. If there's anything to do with him, the best you're going to get is like 25 to 1, 30 to 1. And a lot of people will, this is the interesting thing with anti-post betting, a lot of people will take a price they shouldn't take. Like, I work in the bookmaking industry. We love anti-post bets because we can actually now put a Willie Mullins horse up at 25 to 1. We take a few bets, we put it to 16s. People still want to back it. The true value of that bet, you know, to get a horse to go from October through to March in peak condition and continue to improve, you want 9 to 2 just for the horse to get there. So what I would say is anti-post betting, I love it. It's a real fun puzzle, and we will be trying to have a go at Cheltenham this year, but you've got to pick your battles. You've got to work out what you think is good and what's not. The reason I won't have many flat anti-post bets left, even though we're in August and we've got Champions Day, Irish Champions Days, Breeders' Cup I might look at, is because of the fact that you've got the changing of the seasons now. So the ground goes differently. So October at Ascot traditionally is running an absolute bog. You've got the best flat horses at the moment running on quickest turf we've seen all year. So you've got to be really careful as to when you pick your anti-post bets. For my money, I'm going to start looking at the jumps from next week. I'll start digging out some value. A lot of it depends on news. You've got to have a bit of a heart for it as well. There's no money back if your horse gets injured. There's no money back if your horse dies. It's unfortunately you've done your dough, which is why it's imperative to try and be disciplined and find value. And listen, people might say, "Oh, you were wrong to pick Faid last week." Well, we've beaten the price if he goes, and I think he was a short than 33 to 1 chance to win the race and end up there. If he doesn't end up there, we're fine. Little Big Bear, 12's now 4 to 1, 9 to 2. We've got to sit on it for the winter and hope he gets there. But we're on at a better price. That's the main thing. And you're speculating. It's really, really tough. And horses are not an easy creature to do it with. But when they click, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
So we'll certainly keep trying to get some value. But a bit like you guys, and this is a really good example of how to have a little think on your betting. Don't just throw it at the wall. Don't have one week, and it's absolutely fine. What I would say about York, the Ebor on Saturday, make sure you shop around, you get your place terms. Really competitive race. I love it, but yeah, it's so hard now. It's such a compressed handicap and great prize money, but worth having a watch. But I won't be going too crazy as it stands for the rest of York. And best of luck for the rest of the flat season, people getting involved. But we will have anti-post bets. Sam Farley nags me on a bi-daily basis about what horse are you backing that no one's seen yet, Sam, from France and things. So we'll give it a good stab.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. You got to get those. There is nothing that beats like the thrill of when it comes to Cheltenham week in March and you're sitting on a ticket at huge odds and you just see that price on the day. Oh, there is nothing better. There actually is nothing better in betting, I don't think, than a good anti-post, and I'm really looking forward to hearing yours, because now we're doing this podcast. That means you can't ignore the texts. I have to get this information, and we'll all enjoy that, so we'll all share on that.
Well, it's kind of win-win for you because you can laugh at me if they go wrong, and you can delight and share in the wealth if they go correct. But we're reaching towards the show. One thing I would say is please make sure you follow us on all the socials above. Check ourselves out as well. We all do different bits and pieces. Sam writes some excellent blogs. Jake always has some Man City banter, and I have inane ramblings that I'm sure someone might enjoy out there. The other thing to do is please do subscribe, give us a like. We really appreciate it. It's really helpful. But we come to the weekend treble, and I want us to find some winners here. So, right, I'm going to go last because I haven't actually got mine on the sheet, and I'm tossing up in my head between them. But while I'm doing that, Jake, you're going to put a bet up I really like.
Yeah, so my bet this week, I think you briefly mentioned it. Did you tip it, Boz, for you actually?
Yeah, I have.
Liverpool -1. So Liverpool -1 against United. I know we discussed this that this game could go anywhere, but I just feel that the value in that 11 to 8 for -1 is too big to ignore. To be honest, it really is, because I think it's like Farley mentioned. It'll either be like a 1-0 United, or it'll be 4 or 5 to Liverpool. So Liverpool -1 for me is my bet of the week.
I'll have to come up with something different now, but let's see what Sam's got up his sleeve for his best bet.
I absolutely love that. And my best bet is I mentioned this guy to score last week. He scored. I don't want to be the guy who's tipping the same thing every week, but I think the value here is just too good. Arsenal playing Bournemouth. Gabriel Jesus is 6 to 5 to score anytime. This is a guy this is per XG philosophy on Twitter. Really interesting stat. He had accumulated more XG, 2.11, than 17 different Premier League teams put individually on game week 2. And so obviously 3 teams had more than him. One was obviously Arsenal, because that's how it works. And there are 2 other teams. He was just in and around the box causing trouble the whole game. And I think it's 6-5. I think we're going to get to the point probably before too long when Arsenal are playing a team that isn't a top 6 team that you're going to be looking at odds on for the anytime. But until we get to that point, just keep playing it, I'd say. And 6-5 against a Bournemouth team that I don't fancy, I think it's great value. So look, I'm going to say this. I love my bet. That's why I put it up. Absolutely love what Jake's done there with the -1. So right now I'm thinking this is a double I really believe in. I want to get on this. So Boz, don't let me down. Don't let Jake down. And do not let the at odds pod guys down either, the listeners at home.
I'm not sure I'm getting the thumb screws put on me tonight, but there we go. It's no pressure. Listen, I've been shopping around. There's a few I've mentioned. Obviously, -1, all over it. Jesus, well, I think Arsenal are going to absolutely smash Bournemouth, then yeah, that makes sense. The one I keep coming back to, lads, and I think they're playing them at the perfect time. Forest are 10-11, so just shy of evens, to draw or beat Everton. If I want to take Everton on at evens, I've got to put Forest in. Why are you holding your head in there? Forest got the better of West Ham last week. They're getting new blood in. There's momentum there. Everton are going to have the crowd on their back. Anthony Gordon unsettled. They haven't got Richarlison. Can you not conceivably see that this is Forest are just a smidge too big there?
What a great show. Well, that was fun.
No. You're going nowhere. Pick a hole in why you don't think that Forest are going to get... I'm not saying they're going to win, but conceivably, they've got to be going there.
Yeah. Everton need a result there, though.
Lads. If you think they're going to stay up, they're going to get a point.
Everton need a result there. 2 games, 2 losses. This is a game where they're going to be like...
The midfielder is annoyed, and, well, I don't know he's annoyed. It's clear he possibly wants to go to Chelsea, and they're going to... Yeah. Like, you can see this messing. I'm sorry, it's nothing against Frank Lampard. I think he was brave or stupid to take that job on. But, like, you know, they haven't... This is an Everton side that were really crap last year. We all agreed on that.
Yeah.
I
can't really deny that.
Right. Okay. They've lost Richarlison. Their Dele Alli, who played all right towards the end of last season, he's off.
Yeah.
I don't get where this even money Everton at home. I don't get why you'd want to back that. And therefore, if I'm playing bookmaker, I've got to think Forest are going to get something from the game. Let's flip it on its head. I can get basically the same price, them running for me. You know, think how... What you've got to think is Everton, they get on the back of those players. Yeah. I really think if things don't go their way, we think United's going to be a toxic crowd. But I'll tell you what, won't be much further behind at Goodison Park. They're going to be at that side. Now, Farley's still looking like he wants to go and have his dinner, and he's pretty disappointed in me. But I don't care, because I am putting this on record that they will get at least a point.
Ooh.
I don't think it's outrageous by any means. But I don't feel like the other 2, I do feel are home runs. I think this is risky. And I did see enough that Chelsea game, Everton lost, but I actually thought they played pretty well in parts. And
were Chelsea playing that well in that game, though?
No, that's fair. But even this last week, I know they lost again. But there are signs of that Everton team, I think. I think that Cody Tarkowski's an upgrade in defence. And I think Cody... the second he came off the bench, he was pointing people here, like all gesticulating everywhere. I think defensively they will shore up. It might take a bit of time, but
that's fine. I've got the draw running for me. Who's scoring for him? Tell me where the goals are coming from.
That's the big question.
Calvert Lewin sat there with his air boot on because he's injured again or whatever's wrong with him. Like, where are the goals coming from?
I don't know. I think maybe you're right.
Have I ground you down?
I'll go and accept it. Right.
He's accepting. Right. Well, I'm very pleased that Sam has validated my allowance to actually have a bet that he doesn't agree with.
Anyway, do want that treble, I'll just put it into well-known price comparison thing. And the best price, obviously not going to tell you the bookmaker, but it is just under 9-1. So that's quite a nice price for that treble, I'd say. Definitely worth a fiver or something, by all means.
Yeah, that's Sam's ringing endorsement of my. Honestly, I'm going to turn my phone off because I know that these two are going to be on me as soon as Everton 3 minutes in goal from a Connor Cody 40-yarder, and I'm going to get stick for it. But listen,
Alex Iwobi is going to score 2, and you're going to be in tears.
Well, we shall see. Listen, big thank you to both of you this week, guys. Really enjoyed your contributions. I hope you guys out there have as well. Please do get in touch, add your comments. Let's see what you guys have got, what you're bringing. Is anyone out there going to be able to better our weekend treble? Give it a go. Tell us your best bets. Love to hear from you. Do get in touch on the Twitter if you've got any Q&As. If you want to accuse Sam Farley of knowing nothing about EFL teams and being blinded by his Plymouth support.
Please do.
If you want to have a go at Jake, who seems to think that Ilkay Gundogan is a useless player despite him single-handedly saving City last year, or if you think I've maybe just made an occasional faux pas, who knows, get in touch with us. But a big thank you for everyone for watching. And from me and the boys, best of luck.
Bye.
Ciao.